Hello everyone and welcome to a new series called Intro to HTML and JavaScript. This series is based off of the class CIT 160 at BYU, Idaho. But if you're not in that class, you're not in school, you're not doing anything like that, but you just want to learn about HTML and JavaScript, this is the place where you want to be. We're going to be talking about simple concepts and ideas that make HTML and JavaScript run together and is really, really fun. For those of you that don't know, HTML is hypertext markup language, and it is used in web pages. So a lot of people who talk about wanting to make their own web page, or they want to just learn how to program and get a good footstep in, this is not a bad way to go. So once again, if you are in the class, you can stay here. We'll be talking about the same concepts, same ideas, and hopefully if you need it, you can clarify some ideas that are taught in class at CIT, in the CIT 160 class. If you're not in the class and you just want to come here and learn about HTML and JavaScript, have fun, come on in. We're going to have a blast together. Not every week that I upload this is going to be this formal. I'm using a PowerPoint right now because I felt like it was the best way to express what I'm trying to say, but we won't be using that most of the time. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So as we go into this class of Intro HTML and JavaScript, the way that I'm going to order these videos and make them go is through, like, first off, like a lesson or like an overview. So the idea is that I'm going to give you some ideas and talk about things that you can do in HTML and give you some examples on how to use them. And then I'm going to give you a challenge. And this challenge is for those that aren't in the CIT 160 class, because the challenge is going to be very similar to what your weekly assignments are. So you don't really need to get a challenge from me. You kind of already have it in your class. But if you want to do it any way you can. The challenge is going to be basically, I'm taking the things that I just taught you about HTML or about JavaScript, and I'm giving you a challenge to make it work on your computer. Like, you type it up, you try to do it your own way, however you want to do it. Use Google, use the internet, try to Google how to do stuff if you can't remember. You can review these videos that I am giving you if you need to figure out how to do your challenge. And the challenge is self-based. You're gonna be motivated to do your challenge yourself. I'm not checking in on you or anything, but the challenge is to give you something to do, something to go for, something to think, oh, how do I do this, and work it out on yourself. So we'll do one of those challenges, and then right after the challenge, I'm probably going to give like a step up challenge, just in case you want to do it. And the step up challenges are probably going to be something like aesthetic changes. So like if I asked you to take a program where you ask the user for their name and then their age, and then just print out a statement that says something like, hello, so-and-so, whatever your name is, you're 25 this year, you will be 26 next year. You know, something like that. That would be like your challenge, you know, to try to get that to print up on the computer correctly. And I'll give you everything you need to know to make that happen. But the step-up challenge would be something like, make all the letters green. You know, make all your characters green. You know, that would be like a step-up challenge. It's an aesthetic change. It's very simple to do. You know, kind of thing you can just figure out. No worries on that. Don't be worried too much about it. It's not a big deal. Plus, you don't have to do those little like extra challenges that I'm going to hand out. But they're there just if somebody wants to take an extra step and go a little further and learn a little bit more. So not a big deal, but they're there. After I hand out that challenge, I will then I will release you onto the internet to go and have fun and try to type up the code. And then I probably will finish off the video with like a little review and just kind of like talk about what we learned and like give extra pointers and like different like notes and tips on what we're doing. So what you're going to need for this class is pretty important. So obviously you're going to need a computer, you're going to need a mouse and keyboard, and then a text editor. Now I know some people have tablets, like Windows tablets and stuff. Sometimes, I mean, that I suppose could work. You could do that as long as you could get your text editors on there. I don't see why it couldn't work. Now I've only ever done this on a computer, but if you have a Windows tablet and that's something that you're desiring to use, I'm sure you can. As long as you can get one of these text editors on your computer, you should be good to go. My favorite text editor is Sublime Text. That's the one I'm going to be using throughout this series, and that is the one that I use every time I have to type any code. I love Sublime Text. It's my favorite one. So for this week, there aren't any assignments due for like the class as far as I'm aware. Now, if you're in CIT 160 and I upload these wrong, if I'm uploading them on the wrong day, then you need to let me know, please, if you would. I mean, I'm not saying you have to, but if you would, that'd be great. Because I am uploading these right now during the fall 2020 semester, and I'm aiming to do something like, if an assignment is due on Saturday or Friday, then that Saturday beforehand, 1 week before that, I'm going to release these videos so you have time to look at them. So that's the goal, is the Saturday before things are due, upload this video. Now, if I'm releasing it in an incorrect date, like if I'm releasing it on the same day that the assignments due, that's not very helpful for you guys. So let me know to make them better for you guys. But either way, for those that are not taking CIT 160, these will just come out weekly on Saturdays. And you guys will have these videos to watch and to have fun with and to see. So this week we're not actually doing any challenges or any assignments or any of those things that I was talking about. We're just going to go over some of the basics of HTML and what it looks like and how it runs. And then maybe I will show you guys some examples on how some of those basic ideas work. So for a basic HTML file, you need a couple of things. First off, you need this doc type tag. It's, these two greater than, less than symbols, and they close it in, and that's called a tag for HTML. And you need this doc type HTML tag. This tells your whenever the computer opens the file, it tells it, when your browser opens the file, because that's what we'll be doing. When the browser, like Google Chrome, for example, opens this file, it's going to tell it that it's an HTML file and what type. We're using HTML5 in this series. Don't worry too much about the number or anything like that. It's just HTML5 is what we're using. Doc type HTML must be at the top of each of your files to make them run. Now next, you're going to need an HTML tag like this one, and then you need a closing HTML tag. So if you look at these, opening and closing tags, these are what these are. If you hear anybody ever say opening and closing tags, this is an opening tag and this is a closing tag. The slash always denotes a closing tag like this. So you need an opening and closing HTML tag. Within those opening and closing ones, you're going to need a couple of other things. One is a head, opening and closing head file. There are some tags that don't have a closing tag. There's an opening tag and a closing tag, but sometimes, like Meta doesn't use one, and doctype doesn't use it either. But they don't use closing tags, they just exist. So don't worry too much about the meta char set. Not super important. I will explain that, but it's not super important. So within your HTML file, you're going to have a head file, opening closing head file. Within that head file, you need to make sure you put your meta, which is just denoting and telling Chrome, or whichever browser you're using, what type of characters it needs to use. And UTF-8 is just average, just go ahead and use it. It's just the letters, how you want your letters to look. You need two titles. You need an opening and closing title. You need, there's your closing head. You need an opening and closing body, and then that's it. And then you have your last HTML file. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit more about this and what each one of those means. You already know what an opening and closing tags are, opening and closing tags. So those are super important. You cannot have an opening tag without a closing tag unless it's one of the special ones that denotes, like this one, that doesn't have a closing tag. Otherwise, it must have a closing tag. Now, let's jump in. I'm going to jump over to a file ending because I think this is really important to say. When you go to save your file, you must type .html in the file. So whenever you create a new file, I recommend that you create the new file and immediately save it so that you can type whatever you want your file name to be, whatever you want to call it. And then .html, you must type .html to make the file react the way you want it to. So let's jump out of here real quick. I'm going to leave here, and then I'm going to show you guys something. Let's jump over here to Sublime Text. And as I was telling you, this is where I'm going to show you guys some more fun things you can do. If you want to follow along and do these things, you can. You don't have to. But these are some things you need to do. Now, title, which is what I was showing you guys a minute ago, is within your head statement. And your title is just going to be whatever the tab on Google Chrome says. And I'll show you what that means in a second. But if you want to, you can just type anything you want. You can put like my amazing title. Okay, anyway, you can name it whatever you want. That's what's going to show up in your tab at the top of Google Chrome when you do this. Okay, then you come down to your body. Inside the body statement is where you're going to type your HTML code per se. I'm not sure if they, you call it code, but I believe it is. So here in your body, you can type all different kinds of things. You can type paragraphs, you can type headers. For example, here, I'll do a header for you guys. Now, that was weird. That was very weird. Okay. Why is it doing that? That's so odd. Shouldn't do that. There we go. Okay, so your headers are like H1, H2, H3. And if I come down here to the end, I can put another one. I can say H2. And the number at the end of the H just denotes on how big you want the words to be. H1 is the biggest. It is the largest header wording that you can use. H2 will be a little bit lower. And if you do H3, it's going to be a little bit smaller. And H4, and it's just going to keep going down. So in H1, you can say something like, I don't know, my test file. I'm so amazing. Okay? You can type all those kinds of things inside the body. And you can also type another one. Let's see. Let's do paragraph. Space that down. And then my amazing paragraph. Oh, they're mowing outside. Sorry about that. My amazing paragraph. So you can type whatever you want here inside your body, and it'll print out. And I'll show you guys what that looks like in a minute. Some people will, and I'm usually one of those people. I didn't do it this time, but sometimes I'll put titles and such like this on their own line, or you can put it like this, left to right on the sides. If it's not very big, I might put it left to right, but usually just out of like habit, I do this. This is like just like I did with my paragraph here. I do the same things usually with my headers and with my titles. Sometimes I'll make the titles that way, left to right as well. That doesn't matter. So it'll run no matter what you do. Your code will run just fine. It doesn't change anything. It's just aesthetics and what you choose to do. I know for a lot of people that write HTML and JavaScript, I write my code aesthetically different. And I'll explain that when the time comes in like a week or two when we get to that point, what I meant by that. But some people don't like the way that I do it. I like the way that I do it because it helps me see and read my code better. But it's up to you if you want to put your code on your own line, on one line like this, like that. If you want to do it like that, that's fine. It's not the way that I like to do it, but if you want to do it that way, nobody can stop you. It's not going to stop your code from running. These are basic ideas and basic things you can do here with your HTML code. If I save my file, as a matter of fact, I'm probably going to save it what I showed that picture just a second ago of like my test file or something. Let's do, we'll do test file. Testfile.html. Again, don't forget to type the HTML there at the end. You can save your file. Let me open up my my files over here so I can see them, and I'll open them up for you so you can see what they look like. There it is. All right, had to drag this one over here because I have dual monitors and it was on my other side, on my other monitor. So this is my test file. I'm so amazing, my amazing paragraph. And here's my amazing title. So if I was telling you that title is way up here, that's where it's going to show it, is right up here. My amazing title. And then my test file, and I'm so amazing, as I told you, header 1 and header 2 is going to get smaller and smaller, but they are in bold. My amazing paragraph is not in bold. It is just regular old words. So these are the basics of HTML. Not too hard. Not too hard to get your head around. Just remember that you got to have opening, closing tags on all of your things, with the exception to meta and the doc type. Those are the only two that don't do that. Not in like all of HTML, but those are the only two that you should be worried about right now. But that is it. Make sure you guys come back next week. Make sure you guys come back on this next Saturday, and then come join me for one of our first assignments that we are going to do. It is going to be an HTML assignment, not a JavaScript assignment. We're just going to use HTML just like this, and like I was just talking about, and that's where the challenge is going to come in, and we're just going to do this and have some fun with it. Play around with it, make it look different, all these different kinds of things. So come back next week, and I will see you guys there. If you have any questions for me, throw them in the comments. I check that almost every day. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.